In the Parliament today at midday, there is going to be a speech from the Prime Minister, from Minister Wyatt, from Anthony Albanese and myself in relation to commemorating the fact that on Saturday it's the 13th anniversary of the apology to the stolen generations. It is difficult for people that are young to understand the impact of what this meant to First Nations people. The undeniable fact is that there are still people alive today that were subject to being taken by authorities simply because they were Aboriginal. In the speeches today, Labor will reaffirm its commitment to the three elements of the Uluru Statement, something the government seems to be able to keep refusing to do. The three elements of the Uluru Statement is a constitutionally enshrined voice to the Parliament. It is also a referendum to enshrine that voice, as well as a national process of truth-telling and treaty and agreement making. Aboriginal people must be at the table. And for the first time today, in 13 years, there will not be a report on the closing the gap targets. The Prime Minister will be doing that later in the year, and I think the government is going to be talking about that. But let's be clear, the 7 targets that were in place last year, now replaced by 16, only 2 were on track. It makes dismal reading. Those two were after 10 years. This new process is another 10 years. That makes a generation of governments striving to close the gap. The gap is widening in some areas, and Labor is particularly concerned about the removal of children into statutory care and also the prison population, both at that adult and at the juvenile level, which is higher now than what it was when the Royal Commission into Aboriginal Deaths took place. Can I finish up by saying that Aboriginal people must be at the middle of decision making, or these gaps will never ever be closed. It is eye-rolling for some people to hear the statistics, but let me be clear about this. The statistics of early death, the statistics of unnecessary death are real people. They are mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, cousins and friends. It is not just statistics. It is real people that are dying before they ought to. And one of the most outlandish things is the 7 or 8 year gap in life expectancy in this country between First Nations people and the rest of Australia.
What is the hold up here from the government? You mentioned they were still refusing to sign on to parts of the Uluru Statement. What's going on?
I think the government will find itself on the wrong side of history. They have had 3 working groups to design a model for a voice to the Parliament. That is now out for consultation. Those working groups were in writing, in the terms of reference, forbidden to be able to address the Uluru Statement. Now, the Uluru Statement is an elegant, it is a document that speaks to the whole of Australia. And as I say, the 3 elements of the Uluru Statement, Labor is on board with. You would have to ask the government why they will not consider an enshrined voice to the Constitution. You would have to ask the government why they don't agree to treaty making. And you would have to ask the government where they see a problem with the national process of truth-telling. These are the 3 elements of the Uluru Statement that Labor is fully committed to.